Hi friends, welcome to Webcam. In this video, I'm going to discuss the difference between submit form function, patch function, and update function. So in Power Apps, we have three different functions. First one is a submit form, another one is a patch, and the other one is a update function. Right. So these three functions can be used either to add new data to the source or to the collection or update the data in the source or collection. So I would like to use the dataverse table. So far, I have not discussed how to create a dataverse or what is dataverse and all. But yes, I'll just demonstrate how to create a table. Even you need not to do. We will use the Copilot, and that Copilot will create a data for us. So let's go to the Power Apps. Go to the tables. Okay, so you can write a prompt here for the Copilot to create a table for you, and it will go and it will create a table. Similarly, I created a table for this employee. So this is a custom table. Sometime before I created last 51 minutes ago, this table is created, and I would like to use this table. Okay, even let me bring the more fields. Owner status and all those things are even not required, but let me say this one. Yeah. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fields are there that I'm going to use. Even this field is even I don't need the employees only, because that is the GUI ID that is used for the internal reference. So employee ID, email ID is full time or part time, and then hire date and then status of the employee. So for initially the status of each and every employee is active, right? So I'm going to use this table. So what I will do, I will go to the, I'll just create a, okay, here you can see, I just created a blank canvas application. I added 4 screens. If you go to the screens, you can add blank screen. I renamed all these screens to demonstrate, right? So let me add the data here first. And I would like to select the employees as a table, because this is what the data source I'm going to use, right? So first of all, if you want to view the data, what we can do is we can use the vertical gallery. Any type of gallery you can use. It's completely up to you. And you are supposed to select the source. Based on that, it will just show you the items. Now you will be able to customize what to show, and you will be able to customize the layout. I would like to use this title and subtitle for my gallery. Right. So you can see it is showing demo. This is the employee name. Okay. And another one is the employee name again, but I don't want to use the employee name. I would prefer to use the email here. So gallery is going to automatically loop through the your data sets, and it will show the items. Let me go to the tree view. This is what the gallery one. And yes, let me do like this. Okay, this is the sufficient size. Let me take the gallery a little bit down. Right. So now gallery allows you to select the item, and now you have to define what to do with the selected, meaning you have to define a form either to create a record or create a, or I can say the update the existing record, right? So create or update, both are fine. So I will go and I will use the edit form. So I'm directly using the form control. So what it will does, it will pick the required fields, and it will design the form for me, right? I don't want to use this form as it is. Let's customize the form. So all the fields, whatever the fields I can see here, I don't need those fields. So if I select the form and if I go to the properties, let me change the columns to the 2, right? Then click on the form and go to the fields, and you can see this record created on I don't need. Then this, and then status reason is again I don't need this, right? So all these fields are required for me. Only 6 fields: employee name, email, phone number, hire date, and all, right? So this is a demo, so it's not like I'm using the employee ID and everything. So in actual practice there will be more attributes to your data set. Now if you see, this is a form number 1. Okay, everything is getting added automatically. Now if I go to the properties, here you will be able to see inside the source or inside the data source. Okay, here I can't see. Okay, data source is employees, but below of that, if you see, the default mode is edit, right? So when default mode is edit, meaning this form is only used to edit the data, right? And if you want to edit something, you should define what to edit in items. So you will go to the items of the property, and here you will say the gallery, whatever the gallery we have, gallery 1 dot selected, right? Automatically it will bring the values for the day, value in the value field, email in the email field, hire date, phone number, true, false, active, everything, right? So this is good for me, right? So now I wanted to submit this data. If you want to submit the data, you should assign a button or any icon or any shape will be fine. So I'm going to say here submit. Okay, fine. So submit button is defined, but when button is selected, you should use something called the submit form and then give the form name. You need not to define, you need not to filter anything, you need not to worry about the things, what to get updated. Whatever is selected here, it will get updated automatically, what will by using this form controls. So if I say save, right? If I say save, and now if I play the application, you can see instead of this demo, let me say Deva, and instead of this, I will say Deva. And let me try to update, meaning the, yes, updating the existing record. So if I come here, the demo is still here. Let me refresh because we already viewed the data. So if you want to see the update, you need to refresh the table. And if I come to the table, you will be able to see that demo is now updated to the Deva. You can see there is no demo, it's Deva now. Okay, fine. So we are able to update the data using the submit form. So we got to know that the submit form, a function can be used to update the data. But I wanted to use the same function. I wanted to use the same function for the adding new employee. Yeah, that is even possible. One additional row is here. Okay, let me open the full data. Right. So now what I'll do, I will change the form mode. Okay, I'll click on this form, and instead of this default mode, I would say new. Okay, the moment I say new, you can see all the fields are blank and I can create the record, right? But if I go and if I here select edit, again it will populate the selected item from the gallery the way I defined, right? So let's say your form mode is edit, and if you forgot to define the item, and if you play the form, you will not see anything on the screen. So this is how edit form is designed. So until the time you assign the item to this edit form, it will not show anything, meaning this field should populate the data, right? Now I would like to use the same form, but how to do? Okay, so I need to shuffle between two modes, right? And to do that, what I will do is I'll use two different icon. I will use the first icon as an add. So if I click on this icon, and if I go to this, and if I select the edit, okay, not this, if I select this, and now let me insert the edit icon also. Okay, here it is edit. So when someone click on this, I would like to set the new variable mode to 1. Let me copy this. If someone click on this edit, I would like to set the variable value to 0. And what I will do is I will use the condition here for the form mode. So if the mode is equals to 1, then I would like to say edit form, meaning the form edit dot new. Else, if it is 0 or other than 1, it should go to the editing, right? Same page I can use for the different purposes. Now let me save this and play the application. You can see my default current mode is edit. If I click on this new, everything will be removed and the form mode is new. If I click on this, form mode is edit. I can select the item. It will, I'm able to update that. Now let me try to add something. Let me try to add Brahma and okay, right. So this is what the thing. Let me see this, and this, right? And then higher date is my today's date. Yeah. Is full time true? Let me say is active. Yeah, it is active. And okay, so I am trying to submit new form, and it is giving the status code is generated by the server name. I'm not trying to update anything as a status code, and this is giving me the error. Even we are not specifying anything as a status code. Okay. The error is like this is in there, and let me copy the error. So we are not passing anything as a status code. Oh. right? So we are trying to pass this value and this, even this value. Okay, status is here, but yeah, so this is again system default one, so we cannot update that. And is full time and all is fine. Let me save this. Okay, so status is coming from some other table, looks like that could be the lookup column. And if I run this and let me try to submit the data, yes, I am able to submit the data. So you can see this is what the data got submitted here, right? Okay, fine. So we are able to play around the create or edit application using this form modes. Let me click on the new, right? So if I click on this set mode and all, this is 0, this is, and yeah, so condition is good. Looks like this is not updated. Even this, okay, what it says at 216, sometime before it changed. Now let me play the application. Okay, so now this is behaving. So you can create new data, you can update using the submit form, right? Same thing, let's say same thing we have to do using the patch function. So patch can be used to insert the data, or patch can be used to update the data. So but yeah, we need to write two different functions, because the way submit form, only one function is going to behave in two different ways. Here patch is not going to behave in that way. So what we can do is we can create two different forms. So let me use this is, I'm just adding the for 5 labels for my 5 fields. And here here and let's say here, and this is what I will do. Now the fields are like name, email. So here employee name, email, is full time, is full time, and then hire date, and hire date. Okay, and status is, I don't need 1 2 3 4 details are fine. I'm going to update. Okay, phone number is there, but I can't see that field here. Okay, so let me search for the phone number. Okay, fine. So this is the one more field that I can add to patch. So let me say phone, right? So now again, we need to use the different types of controls here. So, okay, not the label. Yes. Here, text input. This is the text input for name. This is the text input for email. Then is full time is a toggle button. So I will use that type of control. So it's just a toggle. Okay, it returns on off. At the backend, we can set the value what it should return. Then higher date should be the date picker. So this is like higher date, and phone number. Yeah, again it could be the input, right? So it should be blank. On the properties, I'll set this should be number, right? Nothing. I don't want to keep anything. I don't want to keep anything inside this. Let me remove. Yeah, fine. So this is how form is designed. Let me add the patch. To add the patch, meaning to write the patch function, we need to give the control. You can use any type of icon. It's not like you should use the button only. And button can be renamed to submit or patch. So I will keep this as a patch. Okay. So I will say patch new. Okay. And then this can be used to update, add the new data. If you are going to add the new data, what you can do is you can use the patch. Okay. You can define the source as an employees in the table name. But here in the updates, you should use the defaults and then same data source. This is the way you should do. Now you can define the fields for your update function, meaning what to update, what to add. So I will say name, employee name is equals to, and let me edit the fields. So this is like name text input 3. So I will say input name, then input email. This is input full time, input hire date, input phone number. Okay, so these are the inputs, and this is the patch button. The name is already on the okay, fine. So now what I will do is I will say add employee. Even I can give the same name here instead of patch. I will say add employee. Right. So now this is equals to input name, input name dot text. The next field is email, and I can say input email dot text. So dot is something that that is completely based on the type of value. So I can say is full time, is full time is equal to input full time dot value. Then it should say higher date is equals to input higher date dot selected date, and then last field is phone number is equals to input phone dot text. Right. So this is the simple formula we should use. So you should make sure that you are using the defaults while creating a new record. That's it. Otherwise, everything is one to one while updating a data using the patch or submitting a data. Only difference in the default. Okay. So now what I can do is I can play the application. Let me save the application and run. Okay. To see whether I'm adding or whether the data source is getting added or not, let me use the vertical gallery here also. This is the data source. Let me go back, and this is the layout, and then let me use the title and subtitle only. Only two things I'm going to use. On the second, I would like to say email. Right. So I don't need to look at this. I simply need to So here, let's save and run the application. Okay, well, it is saving at the back end. Okay, so let me add new employee as a pulse, and pulse at the rate gmail.com. This employee is, let's say, full time, and hire date is like Monday, 6th of. Then phone number is like this, and I will say add employee. You can see this employee is added here, right? So we are able to add the employee. It is fine. We are able to add the employee. Let's say I wanted to update the employee. Same employee, I wanted to make the correction with the higher date. So what I can do, I can use all these controls. I don't want to change anything, right? And I will copy all the controls on the new patch update. Okay, so let me copy the form controls only. It might be giving me error for the other fields. Yeah, meaning for the gallery. Okay, even it should not give the error for the gallery 2. I copied this gallery 2. Okay, now it is copying, right? So gallery 2 1. So I will say patch update gallery, and here I will say patch update instead of. Okay, it can't be renamed. It is fine then. Let me continue to update this. As I said, okay, so what I want to do is I want to update this. Okay, so let me go to the on select for this button function. In the patch, what you should do is here you should filter the record. What record you have to update, right? So to filter that, what we will do is we will use the lookup function. Inside a lookup, we will use the same source because from where you have to update the data. So employees, then condition is like employee name is equals to. So I will use the employee name. Employee name is equals to, and gallery. Okay, gallery 2 1 dot selected dot employee ID. Okay, sorry, not employee ID, it's employee name. This is what the thing I have done, right? So we are good to perform the update also. The way submit form can be used, but here we are using form control, so we can switch the form directly. But in case of patch, we cannot do that because we are designing the form manually. So what we did is we created a copy of that form and we will write the different functions. We used the lookup function to select the record which needs to be updated, and we used the default function, default of the source, to add new record. This is what the difference between patch function for updating and creating. Okay, creation is fine. We saw. Let me play the application and now we will see the this. Okay. So what we need to do is, first of all, we supposed to update. In that case, let me assign the default value. So gallery 2 dot selected dot employee name. Then here I should use default as an email, right? So here again I should use default dot is full time, right? So it will automatically change. Then this is like hire date, right? And this is like phone number. Right. So all the fields I populated, let me save and let me run the application. It's saving, you need to wait. Okay, fine. I want to change this. So I can use this 13. Okay, it is fine. Instead of 10th, okay, 10th November, I would like to update and then add the employee. It got added. You can see if I show you this pulse is updated. Okay, it was not there, but yes, the higher date for this, even you can see here also. So now new date is picked. Right, if I go to the data for the pulse, this is getting updated. Fine. Now what I will do, I will let's say I wanted to do some kind of update operation. Okay, but that is for the couple of employees, not for the single one. Okay, so what I can do is I can use the same form. It's not like we cannot use. Let me use the same form. Or maybe let's say I wanted to add 10 or 2 3 new employees, right? So if I have to add 2 3 new employees, I can simply go to the patch. I can copy this, right? And reset form is not used, that's why. Otherwise they should not hold the data. So my bad, but see, whenever you use the patch function, you need to reset the things manually. So I will use reset input email, reset input full time. Then I will say reset input higher date, right? Then reset input phone. So input phone, and the last one is like reset input full time name, right? So this is how you should read it when someone try to click on this. Or I can even add the button to reset fields and all, right? That is fine. So what I have to do is, for example, I have to add the couple of employees. So I will use this. Okay, let me reset this first. And to reset, what I need to do is I need to play the application. I need to play the application, and I let me comment out this patch so that it should not submit the data once again and reset. Okay, so this is resetted now, and now I'm good to use the patch. So going forward, every time whenever I will add new data or new employee, it will automatically going to reset. All right. So same thing I'll do. Let's say I wanted to add the couple of employees here. I wanted to do a, I wanted to add the couple of employees here. Okay. Or when I will add new employee. So logic is that I don't want to update that employee directly to the data source, directly to the data source, because see, if I add here, then again I need to go and update even that kind of activity. Before that, meaning before updating the record or adding the new record, I want to review, for example, or I want to send it for the approval and all, some kind of action is needed. So in that case, what we can do is, instead of patch function, obviously we can use to add the record in the source, but instead of this, I would prefer to use the clear clear this function, and I would prefer to use the collect function. So we are going to create a collection, and I will say new employee is my collection name, and then item are this. Right. So this is going to, okay, and let me close this. Now what will happen? See, whenever I will try, now you can see if I go to the variables, you will be able to see this new employee collection got created, and I wants to add the data. Let me save then play the application. Okay, fine. I wants to add new employee as a Charu, and I will say Charu at the rate gmail.com, and its full-time employee joining date is like, for example, I used this one. Later, maybe I wants to modify, right? I will add that. It is fine. Then I will add one more employee as a Yog, and the Yog at the rate gmail.com. Now let's say this is not a full-time employee, so I will use this date and the random number for updation purpose, right? So what I did, I simply added two employees. If I go to the collection, you will be able to see here these two employees are added. But if you go to this tree view, and if you look for those employees here, because this is coming from the source, not from the collection. So to show the data, okay, to show the data, what I will do is I will use the data collection or data table here. So data, not add data. I should say data table. Okay. And new employee. Okay. Problem is we need to select the fields, add the fields, employee, email, hire date is full time. Everything is I wants to add. Right. This is coming from my collection, meaning I'm going to add this data. But let's say for some reason, if I wanted to update this record, Yeah, it is fine. You can use the patch. You can use the patch with collection also. But you can use update function also. For the collection only, you should go and you should use the update function. Right. So let me try to update instead of patch. Okay, patch is going to work. Patch can be used to update all the data. A patch can be used to update the partial data. Right. And let me use here as a new employee, right? And lookup. So here I will use lookup, and I will say employee name. Okay. So I can say patch to the, okay, it is fine. So the collection I'm going to update using the patch. So I'm just showing you patch can be used and what is the difference between patch and all. So here I will say lookup new employee, right? And then condition is like employee name is equals to data table one dot select, sorry, dot selected dot employee name, right? So whatever is selected in the table, I am going to patch to that. This is the comma, and this is actually new one, so I would like to update. So let me assign the values here, default values. So like data table one dot selected dot employee name, This is the one. Let's assign this to email. Let's assign this to the new is full time. Then this should go to the hire date, and this should go to the phone number, right? So this should go to the phone number. So we can update the things. Okay, instead of email ID, this email ID, let me save this and let me play the application. So instead of charu1111 is the email ID I would like to add. So if I add this, you can see that it got changed in collection. Now let's do this. Okay, so I'm using here, this is with the patch. So update with patch. So you can update entire record, you can update the specific part of it with the patch. Even I try to patch everything. Okay, so let's say update only date if you want to do, and rest of the things you don't want to change. So let me copy this patch function. I'll keep this on notepad. Right, so and instead of this, what I will do is I don't need to update this employee ID, and I want to update the email ID only in the collection, and I don't want to update anything. Let me keep the field as it is. I'm not removing the fields, but let's say using this I'm going to update only two fields. Using this patch function, I'm going to update only email and hire date. So I'll select this. Let me play the application. Okay, and here instead of 55111, I will make this as a 555, and date I will change to the uh, Monday's date, next Monday's date. Okay, 6th, and I will say patch. Okay, it is updating the specific field, and rest of the things are as it is. Let's do the same with update. Okay, specifically, I would like to say update can be used only with the collection. You cannot use with the sources like data versus SQL and all. You should not use update. You should go and use the patch function only. So let me create a copy of this, and okay, it is creating a copy. Okay, so here I will say update with update. Right, so update with update. When someone clicks on this, I would like to update the partial data. Now what I will do, I'll select the second one. Let me save this, and same one we selected, same one. Okay, so here instead of this, now I'm going to do a partial. If you update a full record, it is good. It is always good to update the full record, all the fields with the update function. If you miss to do that, it is not going to update. Right, so nothing is happening, it is not working. So you should go and update the full record, all the fields. Oh, but we have not used the update function. My bad. I should use the update function here. I will say update the collection. You should use, so specifically this is even pointing to the collection, new collection. Old record is like data table, one dot selected. Okay, and I'm just trying to use this to identify, and then let me try to update the partial fields. So I'll go here and I will use Okay, and then this. Okay, so this is what I wanted to demonstrate sometime before. Let me remove this and let me save. I supposed to use the update. I missed to update that function, and I just updated the name and tried to use that function. Okay. So you can see this is getting updated. So with patch, it is not going to affect. But if I use the partial updation, now I will make this as a 3 times 3, 1 to 3. Okay. And then date is like 20th of October. And if I say update, it is not updating. It is not giving any error. But you can see this data itself is not updating. Right. So update can be only used when you are going to update all the fields. When you are going to update all the fields. And it is throwing the error. Okay, so okay, my bad. Because of that error, it is recommended to use update with all the fields. But if I try to update the partial fields, update will update those fields, those are specified, rest of the field it will make empty. If you use patch can update the specified fields and rest of the fields remain as it is. But here you can see this is empty, right? So you should not use update for the partial updation. You should use the patch. This is what the purpose, whatever I tried to explain for the update, right? So always use all the fields with update. And now here I'm going to save and I'm going to play the application. Okay, and let me say this is the Charu, right? This is the email ID, this is the active status, this is the date, and this is the phone number. And let me update. Now it got updated. Okay, fine. So this is how update can be used only with collection, and it should be used to update all the records. If you try to update the few records using the update function, it will gone. Your data will be a very bad data. I mean, you will miss the fields. Even it will override the fields with the blank values if you do not specify anything for that field, right? So this is how it update is going to work. And update should not be used to update the data in the source. It should be used with the collection only. Collection is nothing but the data which is available in memory or which is created in a memory. Still this, and if you want to patch this again, you can submit this data into the, you can create the edit form and all form control and all with this, and you can use even for all to patch the data to the source, right? So this is all about the submit function, patch function, and update function. So if you ask me the summary table, let's discuss, or let's summarize the session with this. So to submit form by using the submit form function, or to submit the data by using the submit form function, you need to use the form controls, but that is not required for the update and patch. Patch can be used without form. Okay. Then to create new record, new form is used with the submit. Patch can be used with the default function for the source. Update cannot be used to create new record. All the three functions can be used to update the existing record. This is what we saw. Submit form cannot be used to update the data partially for the partial fields, but patch can be used. Even update cannot be used to update the partial fields, right? So in submit form, build in support for the data validation, like if your source has defined that this field is required, and if you try to submit the data without adding that field, then submit will throw the error that this field is required. but means the submit form is going to give you the validation. Patch and update is not going to validate anything. And for the complex field, patch function is the only function that is going to support, like files. If you want to add the files and all, so you should use the patch only. Update and submit is not going to support fully. This is what the summary of this session. So I hope you like the content of this video. Thank you so much for watching the video. Have a nice day. Happy learning. Do not forget to subscribe, webchamp.